welcome to this edition of City Life. And I can tell you some really good news for you today. Canetta will be back tomorrow, so it's the only time you've now got to put up with me, so that's fine. Quite a diverse group we've got for you today. We're going to talk to an orthopaedic dog person. So I did have a dog that actually did a cruciate ligament, so I'll be interested to talk to him about that. Greening the Rubble in Christchurch. There's a ton of it. Where's it going to finish? The latest issue of the Mainland Press is out, and we're going to get an update. What's in there? What should we be reading? What should we be looking for? And we find out about the film The Holy Roller. And I'm looking forward to that. Selena's old boy Patrick Gillies is involved in that. But as we always do, it's time to welcome the Mayor. Mr. Mayor, lovely to see you here.
Good to be here.
Can we just start with a slightly disturbing article in the press? A lot of tradespeople about running out of work. Seems unbelievable you could run out of work in the city, wasn't it?
That's incredibly frustrating, and it, basically it's around the issue of insurance, sorting out the insurance, getting the companies to pay out and move, as much as I can see anyway. And then you add to that the layer of frustration around people waiting for further inspections from EQCs.
So who's dragging their feet, Bob?
Well, it looks really like the insurance industry is being very conservative, shall we say, in their approach of settling the claims.
We are talking big money, though, aren't we, I suppose?
That's huge money, and I'm very reluctant to ever point the bone in these situations, because what I see, by and large, is people doing everything they can. Even the EQC guys who cop a lot of stick. But, when I see them and when I talk to them, they're working really, really hard.
And it's just the scale of what the claims have been settled, Bob, which is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Which we don't hear about.
You don't hear always about those stories. You tend to hear about the issues that are causing problems. But look, there are problems out there, and I'm sure we can do things better. I'm sure that the insurance company would like to get the issue off their plate. But what they've got to watch out is that nagging sort of suspicion that's around that insurance companies are just hanging on to their money as long as they can.
Well, it always used to be a joke, Bob, didn't it? You'd pay in, that was easy, but to get it out was the tricky bit, so, which I think we're finding, aren't we, to get it settled.
I think that's true. I think that's true. And the other issue is, getting reinsurance for people, or getting new policies written up. It's really, really hard. So they're all things that impact on the rebuild, and we do need those sorted out. And it's kind of the stuff that has to happen really up at the Sarah and above level. I think government have been very much involved in working with the insurance industry to try to get things moving. It's not been easy. I know that the Minister had a huge amount of negotiation and work around, for example, the red zone issues. So we have to say it's a hell of a job, but it's a hell of an important job, and people can't stay on hold forever, so we do need resolution.
Correct, and we need something to be happening, don't we, all the time, so that that helps grow the city as well. We're getting people to come in and do things.
A couple of things are really important about that. I think as a city, we've got to be conscious of the messages that we send to the world around us, not just fellow Kiwis, but the Aussies and a lot of other countries are looking on here. And if they see problems that start to blow up and become negative for the city, it affects their confidence as well. So everybody has to do their bit. But having said that, we're in unexplored territory, Pete. No one's been in a Western city in this sort of situation with this scale of damage over a period of time like this, and with all of the dreadful tragedy that's happened along the way. All of this stuff is really new. And so,
did you stop at 12:51 the other day?
At 12:51?
Yeah, which was the anniversary 22.
No, to be honest, I didn't actually stop at 12:51.
We certainly did here, and that was quite a poignant moment. It was
a poignant moment.
It was good.
Yeah, funnily enough, for me, and for you guys in particular, it's incredibly poignant. We don't probably need to go into that space and have that discussion, but I can certainly understand it. I think for me, it really began on the 4th of September.
Yes.
And I know that we're sort of thinking in our heads, well, it's the 4th of September is when the event began that really changed our lives.
For that, Bob?
Yes, we'll have some stuff for that. I don't think it's going to be too big, because I think, like you, that the 22nd of February, in many ways, 1 year out from the event, I think is incredibly poignant.
Can I ask you a question that directly affects me, I think? How active or how involved are you getting in the re-establishment of Canterbury Rugby? They've got such a tight time frame.
They do. Very, very involved. Very, very involved. And, we want it resolved very quickly. I think we're getting close to having that sorted out. and I'm meeting with the rugby guys again, I think, next week to
we
talk
had Hamish
further about
here
this.
the other day,
Yeah.
and when you hear the time frame, it's very narrow, isn't it? But he's determined for his champion side to play at home, so you know, we've got to honour that, I think, if we possibly can.
Absolutely. I mean, we want it. It's part of the character of what we are. And you think of how important the Crusaders were to us through the darkest months, you know, and I mean, every win that they put down was a win that made us feel so much better as a city, that in the midst of all of this wreckage and pain, that there could be something good happening. And
I can tell you, I talked to a couple of the All Black boys the other day. They really are looking forward to their visit to Christchurch during the World Cup. They want to do it. I see Robbie's doing it with his with the Wallabies. That's great. England, I think, are popping in. You know, that's great. We will feel part of it, won't we? Those plans coming along well for the hub you're going to have.
Yeah, that's all looking really good.
Good. And the draft plan, Bob, pretty well accepted.
I think it's gone down very well.
Right.
And I think one of the things, and it comes back to a kind of a subtext of the theme that you and I have had today, which is about going forward, making things happen, having something to look forward to.
Now, you met with the stakeholders the other day.
Yes, we met. We had our first meetings. We've got lots and lots of meetings now, because the first thing was that 106,000 ideas. That really genuinely shaped the plan, and I think people can see that, and it's given them real faith in the process. And now we go back and we talk to all of the different sector groups, what we call stakeholder groups, people who might be landowners in the city or business owners in the city or who live inside the four avenues.
And by and large, they've embraced it?
They've embraced it, I think. Yeah. No, it's got. I'm really thrilled, actually.
Okay.
I mean, there's some big sort of long-distance vision stuff in there, around the light rail, for example. But building heights, I mean, that's a huge change. But these are things that will help create a unique city. And what we need to remember always is that we're competing with thousands of cities around about 500,000 people in size. And they all face the same structural issues: ageing populations, the mega cities attracting people, attracting investment, smaller cities finding it hard to survive. For us to have a future, the sort of future that we dream of, to fulfil that ambition of the most beautiful city on earth, we need to be quite bold, I think. And we need to put something different.
That we can do that.
Absolutely.
A lot of the cities you go to around the world, they can't alter theirs. We can.
Right. And you know, the plan that we've put in front of the city, which is a draft plan, we can deliver that plan. Okay, so there's not stuff in there that's just out of the ballpark. We can do it.
Where's Littleton looking, Bob?
Littleton's got a huge problem on its plate, but they're making some real progress with the community planning program, which is working very closely with council, and I think they've got a very exciting future. We're doing the same thing in Sydenham, and in fact, right around the city, what we're doing is setting up groups with communities, driven from the community usually, with some structure and support provided by council, so that people can revision the very important community centres, community areas that have been damaged by the quakes, where in a number of cases there are big rebuilds to do.
It was interesting in hearing yesterday to hear that, like a city council service centre, they've set one up now in one of the hardest hit areas, which is Avondale, where it's like a one-stop shop, so the punters can go, and I think that's great, Bob.
It's a great thing, and making it easy for people in difficult times is really important.
Yes.
And tracking down information, I mean, it's hellish. You know, we went through some stuff trying to get hold of the EQC guys for our own place, you know, and you're running around, you're picking up phones, and it just absorbs so much of your life. And to bring information together in one place is one big step to help
people. Tend to forget you didn't get an exemption sticker, did you?
No,
people forget that. The dear old mayor, you know, he's got hit as well. So.
Oh, we were pretty lucky. We didn't have much damage.
Okay, that's our chat with Bob. Really have enjoyed talking to him. We had a heap of other things we'd like to get through, but we ran out of time. Bob, go well. Have a good week.
Okay, mate. Thank you.
Welcome in to Dan Coward, who, of course, New Zealand Fire Rescue Service, a regular. Dan, just let's start with the unique weather bomb that we had again with snow. Potential for log burners to blow up or people just to be a little bit silly in the cold? You didn't get that?
No, we didn't. Look, it's amazing, and got to thank the people of Christchurch. They really took a sensible approach. We attended a significant number of leaks, flooding in the homes, but nothing that we wouldn't sort of expect from that dumping of snow or from the equivalent of like a very heavy rain.
So just a thought I had, when they took the chimneys down, you know, around Christchurch, once you got that snow sitting on the roof, you really didn't have a lot of damage from it?
No, look, the leak was, the leaks in some of the houses were around the damage to the property, just the sheer quantity of the snow, and believe it or not, for tiled roofs, the snow during that blizzard-type part of the snowstorm was able to force itself up in between some of the tiles, and that was across Christchurch, so it wasn't limited to just the eastern suburbs. People out at Northcote also experience that sort of trouble. But on the whole, look, people were really careful, those without power, really careful in terms of how they went about with their heating and their lighting. Really proud of the way the Cantabrians have sort of come through this again.
Now, you've actually got a photo, haven't you, or a map showing that it was actually reasonably quiet when you look at the fire points.
Yeah, look, a very quiet period, a bit of a corridor in terms of you can see that they're sort of limited to the middle part of the city. But on the whole, a very, very quiet week again. Still, some of those fires we know are deliberately lit. So it is a continuing concern for us, and it's a continuing focus for both the police and the fire service to identify, track down these people and get them to the court so they can be...
Now, those spots you've highlighted there, Dan, are they traditionally older buildings, or what are you finding?
Look, they're a diverse mix. So some of them are, some of the ones in and around the 4 avenues we commonly see as some of the larger buildings, and those have been the deliberately lit ones. The ones that sort of move towards the south of Christchurch are residential properties, and again, the ones out in the eastern suburbs, residential properties, some vacant, some with people in them.
The deliberately lit must be just a pain in the butt to you guys, isn't it?
It's something that nobody needs. You know, from a business owner, residential owner, ourselves, the police, it's work that we don't need.
Do the people that do it just go and get off on it or something? What do they do?
There's a diverse range of people. There are the opportunists. There are people that do have problems, and there are people that deliberately seek out these sort of activities.
Now, it's like coming to the doctor every week. What's your message this time, Doc?
Look, I've got to ask people just, you know, the winter's not quite over yet. For those that still have a fireplace, please, can you make sure that you dispose of your ashes in the right way? That's a metal bucket, not your recycling bin, not your green waste bin, not a plastic bin, not a plastic bag, and definitely not a paper bag, which we have seen. So get a metal bin, it's for your ashes. They can remain hot for up to 3 days, and 3 days after you've taken them out of the fire, they can still cause another fire. So,
an ignorant question, are there many open fires left in Canterbury?
There's not as many as what there was prior to September, but there are still some out there. There are still people that have got wood burners that they've had fitted that do comply with the
But the open fire poses a risk still, doesn't it?
It does, and it's just around, you know, making sure you dispose of your ashes, keeping that meter heater rule, keeping everything away from your fireplace and meter.
Smoke alarms?
Smoke alarms, I can never ever stress enough, smoke alarms do save lives. We see this time and time again. Those people that suffer burns, smoke inhalation and large devastation to their properties are commonly those that don't have smoke alarms.
People are now looking at a rebuilding phase. Is this where you guys get involved again?
Yeah, look, we're heavily involved in terms of the city plan and some of the redevelopment. So there's a couple of things. We're involved in businesses and helping them in terms of their evacuation regs, working with them, making sure that we can help them through the processes that they need to do. And the other body of work that we're doing is in and around the city planners, and some of the things that we're really focused on is that community safety through environmental design, reducing the opportunity for future crime in our future city.
Dan, September 4 is just around the corner, the anniversary. Got anything planned, the fire service?
Look, we'll be supporting whatever events that the council decide to undertake. It's going to be a poignant moment for a lot of people, us included. It's 1 year on from September, where at that point in time we saw our largest ever deployment of resources and staff from across the country.
Amazing. Just, I've got to ask you this one because they asked me upstairs to ask you. People with heat pumps, when the snow fell, the boxes are outside, it loaded them up, you know, covered them in snow. Could that lead to a fire? No, look, what we say for people with the snow building up on those is you keep it clear of it. All that you're going to end up happening is the snow's going to create the heat pump going into defrost mode. You're going to cut it in and out over and over again. So by clearing the snow from the top of the box and from around it, it just keeps it clear, keeps it able to work. So there's not a fire danger attached to it?
No, there's not a fire danger.
Okay, it's just a pain because it keeps cutting out the cold times, I suppose.
It does.
Yeah. Dan, great to have you, mate.
Thank you.
You're having a wee breather, they tell me.
Yeah, away for work over the next few weeks in various places.
Good on you. Okay, well, Dan will be back. You can put money on that. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to City Life, and it's our time as this week, of course, to catch up with our resident veterinarian specialist, Nick Page. Nick, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Flat out there?
Absolutely.
More and more people coming to live out there bringing their pets?
Yeah, well, don't let the secret out.
They'll all want to join you. Yeah. OK, what we're going to talk about today is orthopaedic diseases in dogs, and I can just start by saying that at the same time as Andrew Mertens did his cruciate ligament, so did my West Highland White. So I do know what happens. It's quite a traumatic thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So we'll talk more about what we call developmental orthopaedic disease, which is more a problem in young growing dogs.
Right.
So it's a condition where there's a problem with the maturation of the skeleton of the dog. So it's mainly seen in purebred dogs. And
what sort of age are we talking about?
Well, generally what happens is we'll start to see the symptoms of these diseases at around 6 to 9 months of age. And it's important that these are looked at, because if the therapy is not undertaken relatively quickly, then we miss the diagnosis, and then the next time we see dogs presenting is in middle age with arthritis, and we could have prevented this happening. So,
old-fashioned word, but is it aligned to rickets at all or not?
No, it's not. It's rickets was a nutritional disease.
Yes.
This is totally, although there's nutritional aspects to developmental disease in dogs, it's not per se a nutritional disease. So
how does it occur?
Okay, so there's a lot of, it's multifactorial. So there's a lot of factors that interplay in the development of these diseases. So that in itself makes it a syndrome, I guess. So we'd call it medically a syndrome. So there's genetic influences.
Right.
Obviously, when we're talking about certain breeds, and generally the larger breeds of dogs are much more prone to developing these conditions, particularly German Shepherds, Labrador Retrievers, Golden Retrievers. They're the main sort of group that we see these problems in.
But if you buy one of those as a pup, you don't know that it's potentially got a genetic deficit, do you?
No, you don't. There are some schemes for certain joints. Unfortunately, developmental diseases can occur in a number of joints. But we have schemes for hips, for instance, and for elbows. So good breeders and good practice in breeding would be to put their breeding animals through a scoring system. So we detect these diseases before they're bred from. And so then the hope is that as far as genetics go, we minimise the influence on that being able to induce these diseases. There are other factors that result in these diseases being shown up. Overnutrition or excessively high levels of energy that result in rapid growth rates in these animals. Sometimes excessive amounts of calcium. In the old days we used to worry about not enough calcium, and so sort of people overcorrected and shoved so much calcium in, and we've since found that unless you get it dead right, that that can actually be a predisposing factor to inducing some of these problems as well.
Mainly hindquarters?
No, it can affect a number of joints. So in the front forelimbs we have shoulders are affected, and elbows mainly. And in the hind limb we have the stifle, or what we call our knee, hips, and sometimes hocks, which is what we call our ankle. So it can affect a number of joints. Sometimes in German Shepherds, for instance, we can even see this type of disease in the lower back, in the sacrum of the back. So that can be a problem there as well. So,
what precautions can we take?
I think follow veterinary advice in regard to nutrition of your breed of dog. Ensure that you know the breeders and the pedigree of the dog you're buying, because we're talking mainly, as I said, about purebred dogs. So make sure that scoring
Are the strains getting weaker as we breed?
No, I think we're just narrowing genetics, and as we have sort of concentrated more on a breed type, we've unfortunately concentrated some bad genes as well.
Can a young dog be over-exercised?
It can be, particularly. I think this is a major concern, is if we have the possibility of a developmental joint disease in a puppy, that sometimes what actually happens is we get little chips or cartilage flaps or chips in these joints. And it's because they're parts of bone normally that don't fuse when they should fuse to the skeleton. And so there are occasions when we get some of these chips developing, and if we go easy on the exercise of the dog, they do sometimes self-correct. So we can avoid surgery by minimising exercise.
Like human beings, is weight a problem?
In the young age group of dogs, weight's less of an issue. And when we're talking about, you just mentioned your West Highland White with cruciate disease, weight is a major factor, particularly in relation to recovery from surgical correction of those diseases.
As older dogs get bigger and fatter or whatever, if they have got this problem from an early age, it's only going to exacerbate it.
The symptoms will become worse, that's right, because the consequence of untreated developmental joint disease is osteoarthritis. And so the symptoms of osteoarthritis would be compounded by excess weight. You're right.
So if you've got any thoughts or you're a little worried, your vet's your port of call?
Yeah, the typical lameness is not a dramatic, really sore dog. It's a dog that just has a niggly lameness, then it might go away for a week, and then it might
Doug
come
wants
back
to know
again.
about his pussy. Can cats get it as well?
Not really.
You're right, Doug.
No.
No. You'll be the one that breaks down first before your cat. OK, lovely to see you, Nick. Thanks for coming in. We're going to talk to Rhys Taylor next about greening the rubble. Welcome back. Nice. Now we're going to talk to the coordinator of greening the rubble, and he is Rhys Taylor. He's been in once before, so you didn't talk to me, Rhys, so fill me in, will you, please?
Well, happy to, Peter, yes. We're a voluntary group. We have about 50 volunteers. We turn damaged and derelict sites into green parks, open spaces and parks. So basically we're giving the public an extra space where there used to be a dereliction site.
Right. Who gives permission for that?
The owner of the site.
Right.
We couldn't do it without those willing owners.
Right.
Some of them even sponsored our activity as well.
And are they people who don't want to rebuild, or what happens?
No, most of them are planning to rebuild, but there's going to be a gap. It might be several months, it might even be several years.
So an example I go past quite regularly is Asco Corner.
Yes,
Yeah,
Victoria
which is a
Green
park.
it's called by its owners.
Yeah.
Yes, there are two different owners there who collaborated together.
Right.
And they've decided that when they redevelop the site, they will need it back in good condition to do that. So in September we'll be dismantling that park.
Oh.
But in the meantime, enjoy it while it's there.
Yeah. Then across the road is the strategic building, which is a great big open section at the moment, isn't it?
Yes.
Can you move Victoria Green to there? Or?
That would be tempting, but I understand they're also planning to redevelop quite quickly. So.
So was it quite a move to move quickly? I mean, you're setting this up and then very soon after they're saying...
Yes, they are temporary parks, but they've been built to a high standard. So our aim is that they should be in enjoyable spaces, good quality spaces, but ones that we can relocate.
What if the public said, we actually like it?
Well, we'd have to thank them for their enthusiasm and invite them to visit all the other parks we're making, because over time we're making more parks. So we've built two. Last week we finished one in St Asaph Street,
right.
Just a small one.
Because in the city plan that's come out, you know, there is really quite an attention to the greening, isn't there?
That's right.
Yeah, so that must encourage you.
Well, it does encourage us, and we may in some small way have contributed because we demonstrated what you can do with teams of volunteers. For example, Victoria Green, we built that in 5 days' work with 20 volunteers each day, lots of loaned equipment and a fair bit of planning beforehand.
Well
you can do a lot in a short time.
It is amazing, isn't it? Yeah. But, as I say, there's going to be so many opportunities for you. Do you need more volunteers?
We're recruiting more helpers, particularly people with any trade skill which they can share with us, because after all, we often call on people. Equipment, we've got High Equip who are helping us with some of the heavy stuff.
Right.
Grateful for that help. Placemakers have helped us out as well. And the approach we're taking is that for each project, we try and put together a team of people who are really interested and will care for the project and will maintain it after it's been built. So we're looking for volunteers to help look after the parks, as well as volunteers to build them.
How's the winter been for what you have established?
Well,
pretty good?
We've had very little damage. We've certainly not had snow damage or significant losses of any sort.
See, I think it must be a very easy cause.
Everyone wants to help.
Well, we're called the Garden
been
City,
great.
for God's sake. You know, I think we've always embraced, haven't we, the open space if we can. I mean, the gardens are one of the most treasures we've got in the city, aren't they, really? They're still closed.
Well, the Botanic Gardens are open.
Are they?
Botanic Gardens
Well,
are
I
open.
passed through there, I thought they were
they're-
closed.
No, they're open and welcoming visitors.
Good.
Botanic Gardens are in quite good repair, actually.
Good. No,
But
no snow damage for the trees?
There are some... Oh, a few trees damaged,
Yeah.
yes. But out of the total, I think the Botanic Gardens are done very well, and I visit them regularly still.
Right.
Even their little vegetable garden at Curator's house.
Yes.
The building is damaged, but the garden's open.
And someone's looking after it. Isn't that great? What are silty bricks?
Aha! Right, well, silties. This is an idea from a chap called Dan at Urban Paving, and he hatched up the idea that if he took some of the silt that come out in Hagley Park, I believe, mix it with the right amount of cement and a bit of colouring, you end up with a brick about this sort of size, engraved on it, Kia Kaha Christchurch. You know, be strong, be staunch. A wonderful message. And he's selling those and donating the proceeds to Greening the Rubble and to a group called Gap Filler.
So who's he hoping that buys them?
Well, he's sold several $1,000s worth of them already, which is a great fundraiser.
Great.
They're being bought by people as a memento, as a souvenir of the event, and also as a fundraiser for a good cause.
Yeah. All right, well, it sounds easy, but it's a lot of work. How much time do you put into it and your volunteers?
Well, I'm funded. The City Council's helping me through a group called Living Streets. I'm funded for half the week. I volunteer some extra time. And the team advising and helping, who are called Makeshift, because we make parks and shift them about, that team, who include landscape designers, all sorts of professionals, they meet regular intervals and volunteer their effort. And then we have, as I say, about 50 volunteers who come out on the work days and build these parks.
What's your next target?
Ah, right. We've got a site in Barbados Street. Remember where the Pico Whole Foods store used to be?
Yes, I certainly do, yes.
Well, they've given us permission to do a garden in the front of where that store was. We've got a second site in Colombo Street, which we're preparing. And there's a...
And we can follow your progress on the website, can't we?
Yes, you can.
Which is?
Yes. It's called Greening the Rubble, but you write it as one word. greeningtherubble.org.nz.
And you're on Facebook as well?
We are.
Yeah, so you're very proactive. I think it's wonderful. And as I say, I think the city will embrace it because... And I was thrilled to see the city plan where you're definitely there, aren't you?
Yes.
The desire is to have green.
There's an acknowledgement that the community can help make this a truly garden city or a city in a garden.
Yeah. Love you coming in, Rhys. Lovely to chat with you. You're doing some splendid work, and I do notice it, so it must be working. When we come back, yes, all the CTV staff are all over the latest edition of the Mainland Press, so we'll see them in action shortly. Well, as promised, I said we start with the stars on the front page. They've made it. The front page of the Mainland Press. Chris Tobin joins me, who's the editor. Is it still a big deal to be on the front page?
Well, I think so.
Yeah.
Everyone wants
I've
to go
never been there, but I just wondered.
Oh, well, you work up to it, Pete. You're down on 31.
Page 31. I've got a long way to come through, haven't I?
Keep working at it.
But quite interesting, wasn't it? I mean, you obviously had to do something about the significance of the day and the time.
Very much 6 months, you know. Time's just flowing, hasn't it? And 6 months, it was a time to look back. No doubt that'll happen again September 4, which is rolling around, but in February 22. But, yeah, 6 months, it was time for people to just draw in a breath and have a look where we've come, you know, who's gone.
And you were so fortunate, of course, to be able to get these stars just at your doorstep, because, of course, they've invaded your building, haven't they? Used to be peaceful at Mainland Press.
It used to be a bit quieter, but no, you brought a whole lot of life to the place, and we're welcome to, you know, we're happy to have you here.
So that's one of your features. What's your other big ones?
Well, I've got a story here which might appeal to you a bit on page 2 here, Pete, about a jersey that belonged to Sir Fred Allen, a great legend of All Black Rugby. It was auctioned online to raise funds for the Quake Fund, and I won't tell you the price, but it was a pretty damn good price for a rugby jersey, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, so
I wouldn't mind.
I've actually put my order in. Where is it? Where's the?
It's on page 2.
Page 2 there. Yeah, there we are. There it is. There's the fern, and that is the legend Sir Fred the Needle. And wonderful man, remarkable. And I put my order in for Father's Day for his book, which has just come out. So, yeah, I want to read that.
That'd be a great read, yeah. But
so nice to see sport make page 2.
Well,
Chris.
he's got strong links to Christchurch.
He has.
In the article, he mentions that he started playing for, what was it, the Linwood Club as an 8-year-old, and he worked in Ballantynes before the war. Yeah. And it was only after the war that he went to Auckland. He's got strong feelings for Canterbury.
When he used to come to Christchurch, he always stayed at Coca's Hotel.
Did he?
Yeah, amazing. He was a rep, sold women's wear, and that's how I first met him. Lovely guy.
Well, I'm learning all the time, Pete, here.
Right, how do you feel 6 months on? What's been the general consensus of people you've spoken to?
Well, I think people are still recovering, to be fair. You know, I don't think, you know, it's such a traumatic event. You know, it's going to take a lot of time. I think that the draft City Central plan that came out a week or two ago, I think that was a good psychological boost for the city and for the region. And once, you know, the weather's improving, we're getting into spring, I'm sure people's spirits will lift, but we're still getting over it.
There's a frustration still, though, Chris, isn't there?
Well, so many people are affected, aren't they? Households, you know, all over the city, all over the region, you know, and CTV, you're really in the heart of it, but... It's going to take a long time, but the spirits of people will come through, you know, I'm sure of that.
The desire on page 4 for a memorial, I think that is a very difficult topic. I don't know how you please everybody.
Well, it is a touchy one, but I actually say in the article on that column that, you know, they shouldn't rebuild on the CTV site. I don't know how you people
Should
feel.
or shouldn't?
Shouldn't.
No.
I think it should be a green area with, and as Mary Ann Jackson, your receptionist said...
yes, our media guru.
Yeah, you know, a memorial wall with all the names of all those who died.
Yes.
And just...
And leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also for the I say actually for the PGC
Yes.
side as well, just a grassland area.
Boy, it's a touchy one though, isn't it?
Well, would you like to see a building go up on those sites?
Well, no, but I mean, it's so easy to offend people, isn't it? That's the
But
thing.
a park wouldn't offend people.
No, that's a logical place. And if they want to go and have a quiet time, they go and have a
That's
quiet
it,
time. Yeah, I think that's good.
And in the heart of the city too, it's an ideal break, you know, among all the buildings and whatever. So.
Now, the Lincoln Boozer's going to open again. Good on them. I mean, all those thirsty students at Lincoln University, they'll be hanging out for a couple of quiets, I would think.
An old watering hole of yours,
No,
Pete?
I never went to Lincoln University, and I don't think I've ever had a drink in there, to be honest.
Oh, well, there you go. You have to do that someday.
But there's quite a competition, isn't there? Because the Valley Inn are determined they're going to open first.
That's right, yeah.
Ahead of the Lincoln. And there was a challenge laid down, I believe, wasn't
There's a
there?
bit of one, yeah. We've got an update as to how they're progressing there. They're going to be certainly opening in the next month or so, both hotels, but who's going to be first will be interesting. You'll find out who is leading the race, I suppose you could call it, if you read the article.
Yeah.
Heathcote Valley, a very historical pub out there, and Lincoln, you know, there must be literally hundreds of thousands of students have gone through that place.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting too because I think they both got a bit jiggered by the snow, didn't they? So I put them both back a bit. So it's an interesting race. We'll monitor that one and just see who wins first prize. So I think there'll be a challenge involved in it. Okay. What's something else you really want to highlight?
Well, I did an article on heritage. You know, it's being lost, as everyone knows. You know, there are piles of historical buildings coming down. I think the last count was 80 heritage buildings have been demolished, and I suspect that the numbers increased since. However, Anna Crichton, who's a heritage advocate, very well known around the city, she sees light in the draft city plan. So she thinks, you know, that it's not all doom and gloom, that some heritage will.
Of course, we're running out of time, but I really think that people shouldn't have to search right through to page 31 to get the feature article, which is Pete Smith's column. And we discussed this time.
Is that you? I think that's a younger version photo, isn't it?
I've got to tell you, last week's one caused a lot of controversy, in so much as I said, will the Crusaders have to default? This time we're talking very much about... there it is there, page 31. It is going to move to the front, Chris promises me. But we're talking about the retirement of two CEOs. And, you know, well, there's in fact more than that gone, isn't there, really?
It's a very interesting story, Pete. You know, it's one of those stories that can fall under the radar, but you're onto it. Thank you very much.
OK, great read. Make sure you get hold of it. Now it's time. I've got to move out. Jeff Morton will move in.
Barry Hancock from the Christchurch Antique Bottle and Collectible Club joins me today. This is the 31st annual showing that the club has. Welcome.
Yes, this weekend, yes.
This weekend?
Yeah.
And where is it being held, Barry?
It's going to be held in the Table Tennis Hall, which is on Blenheim Road, opposite the warehouse building. And we'll be there all day Saturday and all day Sunday.
Fantastic. So that's Blenheim Road,
yes.
Table Tennis Club, opposite the warehouse.
That's correct.
Now, of course, with everything that we've lost, this is an opportunity for people to come and wallow in nostalgia.
Yes.
Buy things.
Yes.
And sell things.
Yes.
And just reconnect with the heritage of Christchurch.
That's correct, yes.
You've got some fabulous stuff here. Tell me about some of it.
Well, I just brought in a selection of things, the sort of things that people collect and the sort of things that people love, and I just thought I would share them with you. There's going to be lots of displays at our show, and people in the club collect everything that you can imagine. Some of these things will be there, and others that I haven't been able to bring will be there too. So I just thought I'd give you a flavour of the, what's interesting about collecting and collectibles.
Fabulous. So collectibles are just not teacups.
Oh no.
Pots.
No.
Antique mirrors.
No. I mean, there are, of course, people who specialise in collecting ceramics.
Yes.
I had quite a large collection of Canterbury pottery myself, but there are many, many other areas of collecting. For example, you might be interested in clothing, and this is a little chemise that was made mostly by hand, and unusually in this case we've actually got a very clear indication of date, because sewn on here is the maker's name, and you see it's dated 1912.
So we're 100 years?
Almost exactly 100 years old, yes, and I suspect that was made for some sort of a competition or some kind of exhibition.
Right.
So collecting clothing and old clothing is a very popular area, and there certainly will be people at our show who are interested in collecting clothing. Yes.
This item here absolutely fascinates me.
Yes. Well, this is a piece of glass. I'm happy to say that it survived the quake. A lot of my stuff didn't, but this did. And yes, it's a bit of a mystery item. What do you suppose it is? It's got this big hole in the bottom.
Well, I had 3 guesses.
You
and
had
they were
3
all
guesses, yeah. In fact, it's a Victorian fly trap. And the idea is that you would put some bait, sugar solution or something in the bottom here, and flies would be able to get in. Yes. But for some reason, best known to flies, unable to get out again. It was also used to in the kitchen, you know, to keep it fly free. And well, it's
very practical
and handmade. Yes. You know, spun, made traditionally, quite cheap in its day, and an interesting Victorian survivor from the earliest days of Christchurch.
Of course. Silver.
Silver, yes. New Zealand made silver in this case. It's not particularly common to find New Zealand silver. This is an agricultural trophy, and this was awarded for the champion milk cow in 1902. But as we pointed out earlier, it's got a horse on it.
It's got a horse instead of a cow.
But it didn't matter. It had to do for cows.
And of course, photographs, Barry?
Photographs, well, they're particularly... I'm particularly fond of photographs myself. I have quite a large collection of photographs. It's my main interest.
Colombo Street North?
Oh, well, of late I've been looking at them. The old Victorian wooden city of Christchurch, because I wondered whether paying attention to what Christchurch used to look like 140 years ago might be of guidance to people who are going to have to design the new Christchurch. Yeah.
The Bell building, of course, next to Ballantyne's in Cashel Street.
Yes, this is Cashel Street in about 1875.
And, of course, we did have a beautiful wooden as well as concrete and brick city, didn't we?
That's right, yes, we did. We did, and it was a very, very attractive place, and these old photographs give something of that quality that I think we ought to be conscious of.
Absolutely.
And trying, if we can, to make something of for the future.
For sure.
It doesn't have to be a tilt slab horror show, does it?
Of course it doesn't.
No.
Now, of course, when things have been destroyed, you can obviously give guidance for repairs and maybe
in
appraisals.
This case, this was a victim of the February quake, and this was actually made in Christchurch. This is one of a pair of mantle dogs produced at the Luke Adams Pottery in Colombo Street. And because of their relative rarity and because of their desirability, it might well be worthwhile having something like this repaired.
Fabulous.
But there are a lot of other cases where it wouldn't be, and it would be money wasted.
Barry, we could go on. This is absolutely fabulous. But get yourself down to the Table Tennis Club in Blenheim Road, opposite the warehouse, this Saturday and Sunday, of course. And wallow in nostalgia.
Yes.
Buy, sell, and find out appraisals.
Welcome. Most welcome.
Thank you for your time, Barry.
Thank you.
After the break, back to Pete Smith again.
Well, finally on the program, I'm slightly intimidated, I've got to tell you, because I've got a cast of talent all sitting on the couch. So we'll go through it slowly. Angus, Benfield, we're here to talk about The Holy Roll. That's the new film that's coming out.
That's right.
Interesting for you, you play a pastor in the film.
Yep.
That's actually you in a real life too.
Sort of, yeah. I've done a little bit of kind of pastoral kind of work and preaching as well, and some work in the
So it was a nice, easy, comfortable role to slip into.
Yeah. I thought
I would think so. Yeah. Patrick Gillies is the background boy. You do all the real work, really, don't you? The show ponies go out and do it. You do all the hard work.
I'll get the glory. He does the hard work.
With a bit of assistance from
So what's your role in
Well, I was the director, and I was also one of the producers alongside Angus. We were both screenwriters. Angus's story originally. And then I also did probably 5 or 6 other kind of technical jobs in the background, because we didn't have any money to pay anyone else. So I was the poor salt.
And now we'll go down to the sleazy nightclub owner, who is Jeremy Brennan. Now, you don't look so sleazy, mate.
Yes, it's too early in the morning. I haven't had my first gin for the day yet. Well,
Let's talk. It was your concept originally, though, Angus, wasn't it? You'd worked on this or had this idea for a long time.
That's right. Yeah, it was sort of based on a lot of my own experiences when I was a youth pastor in a church and stuff, and had a lot of friends who kind of took interesting paths in their lives. So some got into sort of nightclubs and drinking and drugs and stuff like that. So I kind of combined the two, and yeah, just learning to write, screenwriting, being a screenwriter and stuff, and I kind of pulled it all together and created this story. So.
How much of the original script survived?
It probably changed quite a lot. Yeah.
Tends to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you kind of, I started writing it and I was learning how to write it at the same time. So, but that was over a course of a few years. So yeah, it does change a lot.
I'm prepared to date myself too, because I actually was just a little bit behind your father at school, Patrick, and I certainly recognised your talent then. It was more in violin playing, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I didn't play the violin in the film this time. Yeah. So,
I think the film's already lost something.
Checks in the mail.
Jeremy, you of course have been a trained actor.
Yes.
You've gone through the hoops. And how's the work situation for a trained actor in Canterbury or in New Zealand?
Well, I'm based in Sydney now, so my Canterbury connections were from a very young age, because I was living here when I was 2 or 3 years old. So, of course, the most impeccable training for an international career in performing arts.
That's right. How's the market in Sydney then?
Look, lately I haven't stopped working. I'm on one solid job at the moment, which has been going for a while.
Not a soap.
No, a musical. Ooh. It's a big, bold, brash thing that's coming to New Zealand soon, called Jersey Boys. So that's kept me going since filming Holy Roller, and right. I've kind of been in that position of waiting for the film to come out with excitement and trepidation, and taking one little job that's gone this whole time. So now that I'm launched onto the world through their fantastic work, Hollywood comes knocking.
And you've given up the nightclub.
I gave it up. Well, it's Rubble now. So, yeah, I just drove past it on the way to the studio this morning, and wanted to check out the city, because I haven't been here since filming 2 years ago, to see what Christchurch is like now. And my auntie's been showing me around Sumner.
Not an easy look, is it?
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
it's the first thing that amazed me though was how strongly life continues, and my first impression travelling around was, kids playing hockey on the fields, and it's like nothing's happened.
It's got to go on.
That's right.
Patrick, a lot of it was filmed around Christchurch, but that's not themed as Christchurch, is it?
No. The story is essentially like a fable or a moral fable or a fairy tale, and so in a kind of a story sense, it's kind of depicted as a generic city, but it is recognisable as Christchurch to the citizens of Christchurch, and also to New Zealanders. They'll say, "Oh, look, okay, there I can see the cathedral in shot there, or
right.
I can see the basilica."
So you can identify with it.
Absolutely, the locals can, but
being a fairy tale probably means that most of the crew at CTV will understand the plot, which is good. Let's go and have a look at a clip, though, of the Holy Roller.
Hi everybody, thanks for coming today. My name is Pastor Luke. I asked the congregation to turn to the person next to them and say hello.
Is this all you got?
Yeah, maybe if you mug me next week I'll have more money.
Maybe I need to go to confession.
Are you Catholic?
No.
Oh, just shopping around maybe.
Yes, see what feels right.
What do you see?
It's a nightclub.
No.
It's a unsuccessful nightclub.
We are standing in a church.
Hallelujah, brothers and sisters.
Perhaps you've seen me before. I've just been on TV. I'm a bit of a celebrity. Healed in Jesus' name.
Nope. So you just concentrate on preaching. Leave the rest up to me.
You're late with your payments. Rothschild wants his money.
Yeah, that's not right. But I like things to be just right. It's time we made this town comfortable again.
We're here to slam evil.
Let's lock and load.
I'm surrounded by the
Prepared to give away a bus tour to the movie. If you could tell me who two of those famous people made the clip in there. I'm only joking, but Mark Hadlow and Simon Barnett were two of them that were in as well. It does, as a side issue though, just bring a little into perspective that footage that you've shot, you'll never be able to do again because it's gone.
That's right.
Yeah, so it does have quite an aside to it, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Is it a Christian film, Angus?
Well, it's kind of it's I wouldn't say it's a Christian film. I mean it's a film that's for anybody really. I mean we use a protagonist who happens to be a pastor but I mean Patrick's not a Christian and I don't think Jeremy is. So I've worked with a mixture of people. So I just wanted to make something that was accessible to anybody. So
where's it going?
Yeah.
Talk us through it. What happens? Where do I see it?
Oh, well, you can see it in Christchurch. You can see it at Northlands, Hoyts, from September the 15th.
Right.
So I'll be playing there, and it's all across New Zealand at about 30 screens from September the 15th. It is at the film festival. There's 3 screenings at the film festival, but 2 of them already been sold out. So
that's healthy.
Yeah. So that's really good. That's 165-seater theatre. So that's nice to know.
Good stuff. Patrick, it gets a national release.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So,
through the main or
Rialto and we
Great.
have some Hoyts cinemas, most of the Rialto cinemas across the country, some smaller independents, and basically it's kind of like what they call a staggered release for an independent film. So they'll see how it goes, and if people go and see it, then they'll grow. And then,
who's it targeted for?
Yeah.
What age? I mean, do you have an age bracket? Or
Not really. It seems to be appealing to. I've had a lot of people from various ages, from young to really old. And I mean, I know you shouldn't sort of be that broad with your market, but we seem to be getting a really broad market of people. It's
and
quite
because we have a wide range of actors in the film, so I think people can identify with the various age groups, and the humour is quite. There's kind of humour for the older generations to enjoy, and then we've got dog whistle kind of piss take humour for that some of the younger viewers will go, oh yeah, that's funny.
So Jeremy, we thought you were being a bit facetious about the Hollywood beckons, but I mean, you're embracing everybody at this stage.
I meant Linwood.
Oh, I see. Linwood, Hollywood. Yeah, okay.
Linwood.
Well, listen, guys, the very best of luck with it. And September 15 is the time that we should all.
Obviously in Christchurch.
Good luck, guys. Let's hope the work continues for you too, because it's not an easy game, is it, to try and funding probably is really tight at the moment too. So,
absolutely.
Great venture, well done. You must have a sense of completion. You've carted this thing around in your nut for 10 years. Nice to get it finally out, isn't it? Really.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I hope you can get to see that. It's been great filling in for Canetta. I promise you, she'll be back tomorrow, so the standard will raise again. You won't have to look at me, which is always a blessing. But get in touch with us with anything you may have. Put a stamp on an envelope. I know it's old-fashioned. PO Box 1100 Christchurch. Or of course, you can go to. Well, it'll have to be canetta.co.nz, at ctv.co.nz. So plenty of ways you can get in touch with us. I've enjoyed doing the 3 days, and I hope Canetta comes back refreshed and really enthusiastic, and she'll be with you tomorrow.